All right, folks, good evening and welcome one more time. To our Christian viewers, we say, God bless your, what do you call it now? Your Easter on Sunday. And of course, to our Muslim faithful, we say, Ramadan Kareem. It's day number 16 of the fast. May God bless your sacrifices. I am Citizen Jones. Now, today on the program, Senator Ali Ndume joins the presidency race, opposes zoning. But then let me report I'm hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, BKO. I greet you.
Good evening, the citizen decked in white.
Okay. Did you see our brother Jamio Majid, also a white man today?
It's a conspiracy.
Okay, the team is ready. I hope you are. Now to our first story. You know, solving one problem but causing another one is the second scenario, if you see what I mean. The initial problem does not get solved while a new one arises as a result. It's known as the law of intended consequences. Now hear this. The Nigerian Medical Students Association has opposed the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act Amendment Bill 2022, which seeks to make it compulsory for graduates in medical and dental fields to render services within Nigeria for 5 years after graduation before, being granted a full license. Now, the bill has passed a second reading on the floor of the Green Chambers. The medical students, through their president, Ejim Egba, reacted by saying the proposed bill is unpatriotic, ill-timed, and constitutes a breach of the fundamental human rights of doctors, as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution as amended. Shall we have a conversation, BKO?
Yes, we are trying to fight fire with fire because this is a very big problem that we are facing as a country. But whether this strategy to quench this fire can work the answer is blowing in the wind. I doubt if any African country or third world country, for that matter, can solve this problem in the manner that the Nigerian lawmakers are trying to go about it. Economic migration is a right, and it's not limited to Nigeria.
Yeah, that's it.
Alone. There are more Pakistani doctors, more Indian doctors going to work abroad than even Nigerian doctors. So, but I know that it is particularly painful when you realize just how expensive it is to train doctors. And then shortly after graduation, some of them barely even practice for a year, they are off. The other day, they had that examination in Abuja that became an embarrassment. Some of the doctors saw their teachers, the professors who taught them in school, they saw them, they also came for the examination. It's like nobody wants to stay here. If very elderly people like that do not feel the need to stay here, then it's such a big problem. In 2015, just 233 Nigerian doctors moved to the UK. By 2016, the number had risen to 279. By 2017, it had moved to 475. In 2018, the figure rose to 852. In 2019, it jumped to 1,347. So you can see how it's rising. In 2020, the year of COVID, when in many countries they were not even hiring medical personnel, it came to 833.
Fled.
Yes, left our country. In 2021, 932 left our country, 2021. A total of 2,000 doctors left Nigeria in 2022. So what you can see from this is an incremental migration of Nigerian doctors. It's been growing steadily from 233 in 2015 to 2,000 in 2022. So I know that it's a matter for real concern, but I don't think that the way to solve the problem is to say, no, they must practice here for 5 years. I don't think. Yeah. When you come up with a law, you must first even ask yourself about how you can enforce it. I think even as you said the other day, they complained that so many doctors were leaving. So many. In 1 month, so many doctors left. They felt really threatened by that. So there are so many things that we can do to address this problem, but I don't think that it's simply by compelling them to stay.
Yeah.
Let's improve the environment, the working environment. Let's make it possible for them to even get trained in the course of the work abroad. Let's bring the kind of equipment that they will feel proud to work with.
Yeah.
Let's just generally turn things around.
Majid, otherwise incentivize the discipline here. Let the practice, medical practice, be appealing, and sometimes you're wondering if politicians indulge in histrionics for the fun of it.
So I wonder what House of Reps member Ganiu Johnson, APC Lagos, what he had in mind when he moved the amendment to that bill, the M379 Medical and Dental Association of Nigeria Amendment Bill. You see, as a member of the House of Reps, he earns about 13 million a month in salaries and emoluments. Now, a medical doctor who graduates from school in Nigeria, I think it's between 500
and 7.
After housemanship, and the compulsory 1 year youth service.
Yeah,
that's about 8 years. 6 years in uni, that's the minimum, depending on which school you attend and ASU strike and what have you. And you do 1 year compulsory housemanship, and 1 year youth service. That's 8 years. After that, they start jobs. Of course, most of them don't have to really wait for. I think the salary is between 500 and 750,000 per month. The House of Rep member that wants to compel them to work in Nigeria for 5 years before they get a full certificate is earning minimum of 13 million. That's aside from constituency allowances, empowerment, quote unquote, things that they do, that they get, and contracts, and as chairman, House Committee, or member of House Committee on one thing or the other. There are so many other benefits.
Yeah.
So now, for a doctor who seeks a greener pasture in UK, for example, the range is between £7,500 and £10,000 per month. That's between 7.5 million and 10 million per month. And you want to compel somebody to stay here. So that's why, that's how I respond to your giving incentives for them to stay. Maybe, in the first instance, rather than come up with that draconian amendment, maybe it should have urged the federal government to, the kind of remuneration that goes to those who work in the central bank, in the oil sector. Maybe we should extend it to
the medical profession.
The medical profession. Maybe
Yeah.
start with 2 million for them, for example, per month, and let's see whether they will stay or not.
Yeah.
Because in actual fact, there was a study by Bloomberg a month ago that if your gross pay in America is $100,000 a month, your take-home pay actually will be about $36,000.
Taxes and all that.
Yes, taxes, several other bills that you pay.
Yeah.
But Nigerians are still willing to go there and take that 36,000. But they will tell you, yes, I'm on 100.
Sweat it out.
And sweat it out. So, giving incentives to the medical production, of course, they save lives.
Yeah.
Giving incentives to the medical, more than anything else. Giving incentives to the medical profession is far, far better than coming up with this draconian amendment, forcing them to stay here for 5 years.
Citizen, let me shock Nigerians by what I just saw. Between 2019 and 2022, Egyptian doctors, 11,500 of them,
left the country
for
greener
pasture to work abroad. And this is 2023. They are disillusioned over low pay and difficult working conditions, and more of them are leaving.
That's Egypt.
Egypt, 11,500 between 2019 and 2022. Of course, that is way higher than even our own
Nigeria
situation, because we always think that, Nigeria, that is where the worst things happen. The figure from Egypt is way higher than what we have. And I know that many Nigerians even go to Egypt for Medicare. Yeah. Yet even the doctors there are not prepared to stay. So Egypt is looking at coming up with a kind of declare some form of emergency in the sector. Yeah. But this is not still going to solve the problem. If you can't pay what those people are offering, if you do not improve the working environment, people will not stay. You can't force them. They will risk their lives to get out of here.
Yeah.
So sorry, to add to that, in UK today, India has the highest number of doctors practicing in UK, followed by Pakistan. So, and anytime we want to do kidney transplant, we rush to India. And another thing is the fact that most of the hospitals you go to in UK, if there are 5 doctors there, at least one of them is in Nigeria.
All right, we leave it there. You know, ours is to mold opinion, especially for the lawmakers. Good luck. So let's go to our next story. You know, we may not have heard the last concerning the vexed issue of interim government arrangement mooted by some dissident groups in our country. You know, the Defense Headquarters has described the call for the installation of an interim government in the country by some Nigerians as illegal and unconstitutional. It says the military, as a reputable institution, does not support illegality and will do everything in its power to defend the constitution of the country. Well, one hopes that the enemies of the state would give us a long, long break. But first, let's share this story with you. Watch this now.
It's another platform for the Nigerian military to give updates on troops' operations across the country.
So troops, while on fighting patrol, rescued 2 kidnapped civilians who were earlier abducted by Boko Haram terrorists in Kuburu Luba village in Chibok local government area of Borno State. Also, on 30th March 2023, troops responded to information that terrorists were imposing tax levy at Kulum Mukara village in Gedam local government area of Yobe State and made contact with the terrorists.
He says the recent spike in kidnappings is due to the cash liquidity.
We are aware that before now, the cash squeeze, because if you kidnap anybody and there's no cash to pay, the criminals make use of the fact that you can pay cash. And unfortunately, with the reversal of the extortion or making the cash to be available in the public. I think that is what must have given the criminals the impetus to do what they are doing.
He clears the air on the agitation in certain quarters for the imposition of an interim national government.
It's rather unfortunate. An election has been conducted. And INEC, who is mandated, has announced the president-elect. It's not our responsibility to speak on that issue, but I know that several calls have been made from the presidency that there is nothing like interim national government. So I think people who are just trying to be mischievous. It is unconstitutional, and all of us know that one. The Constitution does not provide for an interim national government. And that is the point that the presidency has been hammering. And so that is the stand. It's not our stand, but that is what the Constitution says.
It's the first time the military authorities will be coming clean on the issue, and they expect it should put paid to the matter. Sifon Asian, TVC News, Abuja.
Majid, it's crazy we still have enemies of the state.
You see,
At this state of our development.
you know, the funny, we were discussing back way before we came in here. It's unfortunate that it's those who came, the party that came third in the election that is making most of this noise. So now I wonder, Atiku has even relaxed. Atiku and the PTP, they have relaxed. I think the reality is dawning on them. We can imagine some characters abusing a Wole Soyinka because he's told you guys the truth. That, we might not have a clean election, but let us respect our democracy. Let us respect the rule of law. They asked the VP candidate of the Labour Party, Dati Ahmed, and he was saying that he's not going to respect the decision of the Supreme Court, even if the judgment goes against them. Wow. Now, it gives Philip power to his followers to have the temerity to go and call the military to come and take over power. I mean, they went to Army headquarters in Abuja to actually go and invite the military to come and take over. Because I've watched that tape several times. I was like,
trying to reconcile.
Is this a presidential, a vice presidential, and a potential president of Nigeria? Because when you become VP, Jonathan was VP to Yar'Adua and eventually became president. So you have a potential president of Nigeria saying that he would not respect the decision of the court.
That's not an executive statement.
No, of course, I'm not exaggerating. It's on tape.
No, I'm saying that statement is not executive.
Yes.
Any executive
and he said he
such
does not recognize that we have a president-elect. So, saying that, and Soyinka now also came, he has been on 2 national TV stations to let him understand that that is fascism. And it's, it is unbelievable that Trump is having a day in court in America today because of a similar thing. There are still some people in America today who believe that Trump won, but then that should end up in their belly. Not for you to come on television and ventilate it. We have a president-elect. Elections are being conducted. The next level is for you, if you are disillusioned, if you believe that your eyes are not clear, then go to the Supreme Court, go to the tribunal. The Supreme Court will clear it for you. But not for you to take laws into your hands.
All right. Jide, we have talked a number of times here about politicians who are very bad and sore losers.
Yes.
For them, the thing is about them.
Yes. I'm trying to, because yesterday I talked about the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party. I said I was looking for the result from the polling unit where he voted.
Yeah, in Kaduna.
Yeah. So that is voted at polling unit 021, Tudunwada Ward of Zaria local government. In that election, PDP scored 102 votes to win. APC scored 99 votes. And Dati, in his own polling unit, scored 54 votes. He couldn't even come second in his polling unit.
Polling unit, he came third.
So the retired Buharist came third in the polling unit where he voted. And they've been going around saying that they won the election. The eating up of the politics, they are the people behind it. When someone goes into a studio and he thinks he has the license to say what he likes and is threatening judges, that was what Soyinka responded to. That this amounts to threatening judges by saying, look, don't come and
swear him in on May 29.
You are indirectly saying that if they come, that people could lose their lives and all that. It's even saying that they are facing that our lives are in danger. If you swear in Tinubu, then the military.
He said that's the end of democracy.
That the military, that is an invitation to the military. Now the military have said no, we are not interested. We are not interested in a takeover. We are not interested in what is it called? Interim national government. Because those talking about interim national government, they are actually telling us to embrace military rule, because civilians will not run an interim national government. It is going to be run by the police, by the army in the background. That was what happened with Shonekon.
And they eventually pushed him out.
IBB deliberately left Abacha as defense minister. And when he was asked, he said he left him so that he would be the one to stabilize the thing, keep the young talks in the army in check. It turned out that the man who was told to keep the young talks in the army in check was the one who actually took power from Shonekon. Shonekon had gone to the UN to say our democracy was on an irreversible journey. He got back and they seized power from him. You know, in a manner that was really condescending, which we are not going to talk about here. But it wasn't as if Shonekon just said, okay, come and take power. They took it from him by force. So the little boys and girls who are talking about bringing the military into power, the military should come and take over power, just because they hate the person who has won the election. They don't know what they are talking about. They were in their diapers when some of us were fighting for this democracy, risking our lives.
Some were not even born.
Let's even agree that they were born. They were in their diapers. Because a little boy that will be in his diapers, he can't even talk. He can't explain the things that he sees. So by manner of speaking, they don't even know what they are talking about. It's a good thing for the military to say, yes, this is our position. There's nothing even wrong in the military having a position. So when General Damadamio was saying we don't have a position, the role of the military is to defend the territorial integrity and submit to civilian authority. Yeah. So the military understand what the Constitution says. They know that the Constitution places them in their barracks. This is not a time when the Constitution can be set aside. So the military has an obligation to defend democracy, to say no, an election has held. And that's why they didn't listen to the jokers who went to the defense headquarters to say, come and take over power. Take over which power?
They should have been caned.
Hold on quickly.
You know, the police the army, they don't use tear gas.
They don't use.
Ordinarily, they should have given them a whiff of what it looks like.
Pepper spray.
What it looks like to experience tear gas.
But Majid, quickly, let me rub this in. Our man, Dati Ahmed, the vice presidential candidate of the LP, was in the Federal House 2003 to 2007. That's the House of Reps. Yes. And later as a senator, Kaduna North, to 2011 to 2012. So we are not talking about a man who does not know about the Constitution.
You didn't finish the story. People, when you get into the Senate, you are supposed to spend 4 years. You said he was there 2011 to 2012. How come when others spent 4 years, he spent 1 year?
I think, was it not the mandate of Sonny that he stole? They took it from him in court.
No. Let's not open that.
No, we have to.
No, Jamil.
This is somebody.
You are the one you provoked the discussion. See, because you went there to say he was in the Senate for 1 year or so.
Why I went there was because as a lawmaker,
you are saying that he should know better.
As a federal lawmaker, he should
He's
know
no
better.
longer a federal lawmaker. Maybe he has forgotten what
reps. He was in reps.
So in House of Reps.
He's no longer. Maybe he has forgotten what they taught them. Okay.
Now, let us go on this break. We'll come back. This is Journalist Hangout on a Friday.
Cannot express how we feel. Before the bridge, the road from here, Nasarawa to Loko, is about 74 kilometers. This is the link between Nasarawa and Loko. The bridge, which is about 3-5 kilometers across the river Benue, has been on for about 10 years now. Before now, if you live here for Loko, 74 kilometers, and somebody leaves Nasarawa for Kaduna, he will get to Kaduna before you get to Loko. The implication of the completion of this bridge is the cutting of the travel distance by about 3 hours. Our people from Nasarawa can now travel from here to Onitsha and come back on the same day. The economic and social consequences of this milestone development can hardly be compared to the ease with which people move has opened the area, and many people are coming around now to invest in agriculture. Where to score this government on this achievement, we will score them extremely high because it has changed the dynamics of the social and economic activities of our people.
Are you ready to win big?
I got bills to pay.
It's Max Millions.
Give me that money. Pay off bills.
We're giving away 1 million naira to our lucky listeners. To win a share of the 1 million naira, tune in to 102.3 Max FM Lagos and 90.9 Max FM Abuja from 6 a.m. Listen out for the winning song, be the 10th caller, beat the clock, and you could win big with Max Millions.
Money.
Okay, he said stop, 25,000 naira. Come on.
Max Millions, only on Max FM.
After a fruitful Ramadan day, replenish your body with the right nutrients. Make this your best Ramadan yet. Ramadan Kareem from Hollandia Dairy and Chivita Fruit Juice.
All right, folks, let's go to our next story. We'll talk politics now. You know, the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, is the capital of Nigeria, yeah? It is not a state, but administered by elected officials who are supervised by the federal government for political expediency and convenience. Now, many Nigerian lawyers are averring that votes from the FCT approximate to those from other states. But a Lagos-based attorney and public affairs analyst, Liboros Oshoma, has alleged that his colleagues were twisting the narrative about the efficacy of having a 25% vote in the FCT. As far as Oshoma is concerned, the Supreme Court had settled the question when it said all votes in Nigeria were equal. So let's have a bit of what Oshoma said first.
All of a sudden, lawyers are saying that the votes from the FCT are golden votes, while votes from other parts of the Federation are silver votes. The Constitution, as interpreted by the Supreme Court, did not create such intendment. the Supreme Court had interpreted that all votes in Nigeria are equal. No vote, no one vote is higher than the other vote. If a candidate wins 36 over 36, are you going to say because that candidate didn't even win one vote in the FCT, and so he cannot be declared a winner? Is that the intendment of the drafters of the Constitution? And so the intendment is that is not to create a superpower state or a special status state. For the fact that it is FCT, the Constitution did not intend to make the vote coming from the FCT special status vote. It is not the intendment of the Constitution that any state in Nigeria would have a special status in as far as votes are concerned. That's why all votes are equal. So if you score 25% in 2/3 of 37 states, you don't even need to score one vote in Abuja. Take, for example, a candidate wins majority, more than 50% votes in 36 states, and did not score one vote in the FCT. Are you going to say that candidate cannot be declared as duly elected? Is that the intendment of the Constitution? Does the Constitution also create similar status for governors in the various states of the Federation? The answer is no. So sometimes I listen to, some senior lawyers also giving analysis and creating examples that are not apt. I've listened to some saying, oh, what if you say, answer one question and four other questions? That example is not apt. It's not in tandem with Section 134. I've also listened to analysis saying, okay, if I say I want Ugozi and 4 coppers, what it means is that Ugozi must be present. But for the purpose of Section 134, for example, is Ugozi a copper? That's the first question you should be asking. If you score 25% in FCT, for example, it should be calculated alongside other 25% that you have scored. So if FCT is the last state where you got the 25% to clock 25% of 2/3 of 37, it is equally still good. But he now went to the definition section in Section 299 to say and state that for the purpose of this Constitution, the FCT shall be regarded as a state, even though it doesn't have governor and parliament the way other states have. And what is that purpose? For achieving this such definition. So all of this mischief that is being created is highly unnecessary. Some persons also have argued that presidential election petition should be determined before May 29. That is a practical impossibility, except the petitioner wants to take only the issues of law and jettison the issues of fact. If you want to take only the issues of law, then those ones can be argued, parties can join issues, and the tribunal would make decisions on that even before May 29. But on the issues of fact, proof of irregularities, the petitioners also know that they will have to prove polling unit by polling unit. A lot of these lawyers also have political leaning, and their interpretation is dependent on the side of the divide that they belong. And that is why all of this mischief would come up, all of this interpretation would come up to try to see how they can push the argument of their clients. And so I've had cause to have interactions with some senior advocate on this also. And then when they tell me they are trying to test the law, but you are being paid by clients. So you are not just testing the law, you are pushing the narrative of your clients.
Yeah. Jide, this is the season, where pronouncement, you hear certain pronouncements and there is more questions than answers.
Yes, it's just mischief making. Some people looked at the way the election went. You can see that Obi did not even score to 25% in 20 states, and he wants to be president. The route to the presidency, we didn't
comply with.
Yes. You need to score 25% in 24 states.
Yeah.
Atiku
the FCT
also didn't score up to 25% in 24 states. It was only Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that achieved that. You know? So now, seeing that they've been defeated, you will now see lawyers shutting the door against reason
and logic.
Revolting against logic, and then arguing baselessly on matters that had been decided as early as 2003. Okay. That section 299 of the Constitution, by saying that Abuja shall be regarded, shall be treated as a state, it effectively shuts up the people making so much noise about this thing.
Yeah.
We have seen before that lawyers will brush aside the law once their client is interested in a particular angle of the debate. They brush aside the law. We've seen that before. And at the end of the day, what usually happens, reason will prevail because the truth always prevails. You can imagine, even if the people who wrote the Nigerian Constitution were dunderheads, there is no way that they will be thinking in their hearts that even if a man earns 80% of the total vote cast in our country,
yeah,
that if he does not get 25% in Abuja, he can't be elected. There is nowhere in the world where anybody has come up with that kind of law. Democracy is a very simple thing. You have the majority of the votes. You have the majority of the votes and the required spread. That is the route to the presidency.
Yeah.
The people in Abuja, they don't have two heads. The people who live in Abuja, they don't have two heads. They do not go around with double genitalia. They are just like other people in our country. Yeah. Their votes are not special. The votes that they cast are not special.
Put simply, FCT is not a state.
FCT is not a state.
It has only one senator. And so
it doesn't have a governor.
Yeah,
so there are some characters of a state that FCT
does not have.
It's an administrative area. Its own parliament is the National Assembly that functions as its own parliament. Whereas in Lagos, we have House of Assembly. So it is not a state. And when the law says, and the FCT, it envisions that there will be people who will not, who could even score 25% in 23 states and could be lucky to score 25% in FCT. Yeah. So in that case, they would then treat FCT as a state so that that person can have his route to the presidency. The people who are doing all this mischief making, I see them, they write it, they put it on top, they talk about double registration too, that Atiku had already won election as the governor of Adamawa State before Obasanjo picked him as his vice presidential.
Right.
And I remember I asked him that day on TV, will you be loyal to me? It was on NTA.
Yeah.
So now we are hearing about double registration. That is one of the bases upon which they are seeking the disqualification. But the most ridiculous of all is this Abuja thing. And I can't imagine that lawyers will be arguing baselessly. Senior lawyers.
No, it's actually Dati Ahmed that started this thing. Unfortunately, so he said.
I don't think it's Dati Ahmed.
No, he said.
I saw. Even.
He was on television saying that it's only Labour Party that has 25%.
But lawyers have seen lawyers who are similarly saying the same thing. The moment they realized that that provision was there, and they knew that Asiwaju didn't have it.
And another.
It became a weapon that they've been using.
And another point they are pushing is the fact that, they are comparing our constitution and our election to WAEC results. That WAEC will tell you that you must have 5 credits, including English and Maths.
Yeah.
And I said, this one is not like WAEC. It's like premiership, that just have the number of points, whether you beat the
if I
top
get
team,
them correctly now, if I get their ridiculous logic,
very
correctly,
ridiculous.
what they are saying is that Arsenal can beat anybody, but because it has not been able to beat Man City,
It should not,
therefore it should not be crowned. It should not be crowned as a
Honestly, that's what they're
Premier
trying
League
to say.
Jamiu, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
The current president didn't score 25% in FCT, but he's sitting there.
Yes, in the second time,
So
yes.
is that at
it
least-
didn't. See, another fact is now it is Labour Party that is pushing this. Now let's look at this. Labour Party came third.
So they are thinking that with by 25%
Percent,
Abuja,
without
they came
having
third, they can go to the top. They can become number 1.
They will have to kill Atiku first. They will have to kill Atiku first. And these characters too, I think we need to tell Nigerians. In the Southwest, Labour Party only won in Lagos. Out of the 6 states in the Southwest, only 1. As in winning the majority, not the 25% now. In South, where we have 6 states, and it's supposed to be their forte.
5.
Their stronghold.
South, okay.
Yes, South, 6 states. So they only won in 3 states, Rivers, Bayelsa, and Akwa Ibom. In North Central.
Who won Rivers?
No, for presidency.
They didn't win Rivers.
No, sorry, they lost. They actually lost. Sorry, they lost 3 states. These are the states they lost: Rivers, Bayelsa, and Akwa Ibom. They won Cross River and 2 other states: Edo and Delta. The Labour Party lost Rivers, Bayelsa, and Akwa Ibom. North Central, 6 states. It only won in Nasarawa and Plateau. Lost in the 4 other states: Kogi, Kwara, Benue, and I think Niger. In the Northeast, 0/6. Northeast, that's Adamawa, Yobe, and Co. 0/6. Southeast, of course, 5/5. Northwest, that's the highest voting concentration in the country, with 7 states, 28 million registered voters, 0/7. And you want to be president.
They didn't even score.
Not even.
I think the best performance they made in the Northwest was in Kaduna, where they also scored 21% or so. They didn't
not
get
even 25% in any of them. So Labour Party actually won 11 states.
11 states, yes.
But because in the federal election, Abuja is regarded as a federal constituency. All the states in a federal election are federal constituencies. National constituencies, presidential constituencies. So that's why you now see the 3 parties having 12, and NNPP having 1. We now wonder, do we have 37 states? No. So if you are saying that because you won in Abuja, you want to be president, are you going to kill Atiku? Let's not even assume that APC is their problem. APC is not in the equation. How do you take Atiku away?
Take Atiku out of the equation?
Out of the equation.
Because Atiku had greater spread.
Greater number of...
No, he didn't get to 24.
Yes, greater and the number of majority votes.
Popular votes.
The person who won this election is clear. And the rest, what we are saying is just nasty politics, head banging on the wall, signifying nothing. The election has been won and lost.
The final straw that will break their camel's back is that in a worst case scenario that perchance if there's going to be a rerun, Labour Party won't be part of that rerun.
It's just 2
because
parties.
They came third.
2 parties.
It's 2 parties, first and second. So what's the noise?
All right, let's allow the courts.
They are the ones telling people.
No, we need to let them know this.
No, because there were some opinion polls that we talked about then. Opinion poll that gave Obi a higher chance of winning Kano.
Winning Kano
over
Kwakwanso.
Is that not lunacy?
And they believe it.
Lunacy? Some of those opinion polls now, they are citing those opinion polls.
Gentlemen, we must go to our last topip. Time is tight.
No, we need to let Nigerians know about this one.
Okay, we can't finish it in one fell swoop. All right.
We're coming back to it.
Oh yeah.
We're coming back to it.
There's a program on Sunday. Okay.
Situation.
Let's take our last story for today. You know, the president of the Senate is the third order to succeed the president. He, the Senate president, is the number 3 citizen as far as the Constitution is concerned. The race for the Senate presidency is therefore an intense one, especially the 10th National Assembly. The heavyweight contenders include the incumbent, Ahmed Lawan, Senate Chief Whip, Orji Uzor-Kalu. Others are Senators Godswill Akpabio, if you remember him, Jibrin Barau, and newcomer Adams Oshomole. Of course, we do also have Mohammed Sani Musa from Niger State East. Now, the immediate past former Senate leader and senator representing Borno South Senatorial District, Ali Ndume, has thrown his hat into the ring. He wants to be Senate president. The APC federal lawmaker talks about fairness. For him, there's no zoning of the Senate presidency. Jamil.
The party will zone. That is the tradition. The party will zone those principal officer positions.
Yeah.
The party will zone. That is what we have.
But he says fairness must come in.
Lawan, what is fairness? He said they didn't zone the presidential primaries. But the tradition has always been to zone.
Okay.
The tradition has always been to zone. When PDP were there, they too were also zoning these positions. So he wants to contest, he wants it to be a level playing field. You know, he contested against Lawan that time and lost in 2019. Lawan is not going to contest this time around. Those doubting, those dropping his name, they are just being mischievous. Lawan will not contest. We can't have someone from the Northeast as vice president of our country, number 2 man.
Number 2,
and then number 3 will also be from the Northeast, another Muslim from the Northeast. It's not going to happen. There are some things that are so easy to predict. So Lawan is going
out
to
of
be,
the equation.
Yes, he's going to be an ordinary member, a senior member, he's
a ranking senator.
Himself and the senator from, the Abga senator from Abia, Abaribe. They are the oldest now.
Yeah.
They are the oldest now in that Senate. They will provide guidance. Their experience will be valuable. And I fancy Lawan's capacity to help the incoming government to stabilize. You know, he has that charisma, he can make it happen. But the party will zone those positions. The party is already looking to take a decision between the South-South and the Southeast. Between the South-South and the Southeast.
So you are looking at the spread. You are looking at the spread. The president is Southwest.
Yes.
The vice is Northeast.
No, it's political balancing.
You need balancing. You need balancing so that everybody will feel carried along.
A sense
even
of
positions
inclusion.
such as chief whip, this and that, they will all be zoned. That's the tradition. That's the only way you can have fairness and there won't be friction even after the whole exercise. APC leadership, NWC, they will zone. I'm certain about that. And I'm telling you that they are looking at the South-South and the Southeast. Right now, the South-South and Southeast, they are in contention.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they are going to take a decision between the South-South. Many times they look at even performance and all that. You know, for me, I want to see the Southeast given a pride of place. Yeah. But it's not the way I think that politicians think. So I give it to them. I am not a politician. I will never become one. I give it to them that they can decide that, okay, this is the way we are going.
But reason is expected to prevail. You know,
that's why I said that they may be looking at performance. I'm not going to explain what performance.
I see.
Jamil, but you should be scandalized that at near 63 years of being an independent country, our politics is still being fashioned along religious and ethnic lines.
No, it's not. This one is not religion and ethnicity. It's still federal capital, federal character, and it's in the constitution.
Yes, no, we have 6 geopolitical zones. Yeah. So the Southwest is president-elect, Northeast,
Vice
President-elect. That's number 1 and number 2. So automatically, those from the Southwest and Northeast cannot take part in
the number
3 and number 4.
Number 3 and number 4.
Yeah.
So we are looking at South, South, Southeast now, and the names that keeps coming up, Orji Uzor Kalu, Akpabio, and Oshiomhole. But some people want to argue that Oshiomhole is a first-timer. There is nowhere in the extant rules of the National Assembly where they say that a non-ranking member cannot emerge as a principal officer.
Has it happened before?
Well,
the APC zone did.
Akpabio
became minority
leader.
Yes, so no, it's different. At that time when he was minority leader, he was not in the APC.
Was it in the PDP?
He was in the PDP. That was what the PDP was sitting in minority, and that was who they wanted.
Yeah.
Now, talking about principal officers from the APC, do you think the APC, by tradition, would put a newcomer in the mix? I don't think they will do that.
Well, you see, it will have...
But Oshiomhole is in running.
See,
I don't know yet.
He's in running.
The people who are in the running that we are seeing, I've not even seen him among such people.
But
those who have really thrown their heart in the ring.
BKO, the difference between a Tinubu presidency and a Buhari presidency is such that we have a Buhari who is non-aligned, it's for nobody, it's for everybody. That's why Saraki
it's not even in 2019. The president told the National Assembly that he wanted OVA, Omar Agege, as deputy. So it's not even completely true that he will not.
But in 2015,
he insisted that was who he wanted.
Yes, and they delivered it to him.
And they gave it to him.
And you know, just in 2022 too, he insisted on the chairman of the ruling party.
And they gave it to him. So
him.
It's not in all cases that he's detached.
Yeah, but we have a Tinubu who understands politics and who has been part of it since even before, since 1982. So I see a situation where he will be able to balance both the ethnic, the religious, and even the all the tendencies that tends to, because especially the issue of the Southeast, which is very, very critical, at least to assuage some free.
That was what Obasanjo was saying yesterday, that the incoming administration.
Now he's coming down. Obasanjo is coming down.
He started this whole thing with a letter that he wrote. But let's not even go into that. He said that the incoming administration must heal Nigeria. Which we have been saying that here. You know, Nigeria has to be healed. Every Nigerian must feel that, look, this is truly my country. You know, and those stoning their country because politically things didn't go their way, my advice to them is behave the way Kwankwaso behaved in Kano. He lost in 2019. He didn't bring the roof down.
No,
he left them alone. He said, okay, you said I lost. Okay, no problem. Okay. And he came back. He's much more popular in 2023 than 2019.
All right.
And he has achieved this.
My take for them is, I finished from University of Ilorin. There is an adage. They say, Ologini, tó fi ogún ọdún ṣàárẹ̀, kì í ṣọ̀fọ́n ní ọ̀sọ̀jọ́ tí ó kù fún.
In English,
That
it means
the lingo, Ìlọrin lingo.
Yes, Ìlọrin lingo. Ológìnní tó fogún ọdún ṣàárẹ̀ kì í ṣọ̀fọ̀n ní ọ̀sọ̀jọ́ tí ó kù fún. I won't say more than that.
All right. So we'll go home on that note, but not before thanking BKO. Thank you for coming. And of course, Jamiu, many thanks. So the show ends there. If you missed any part of it, don't forget to join us at 11 tonight for a repeat broadcast. But on Sunday, there's an expanded version from 1:30, so join us then. Also, the program is on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Citizen Jones. Bye-bye now.